welcome to Exposing Killers. Today we're going to be talking about the most prolific killers in U.S. history. Does anyone know who one might be?
Jeffrey Dahmer?
Ted Bundy.
Evan Kemper?
Those are all good guesses, but today we're going to be talking about Gary Ridgway, aka the Green River Killer. He had 49 confirmed kills, but admitted to killing over 71 people, but some say that there could be over 80 kills he committed. What do you think about that?
That's prolific.
That is prolific.
Very prolific.
Very prolific.
That's fucked up.
That is fucked up, I agree. But we need to understand Gary Ridgway, why he did these things, what types of crimes he committed. So we're going to talk about a few things, including his background. So Gary Ridgway was born in 1949, the second of three sons. He lived near a street where there were a lot of prostitutes, so he got used to them really, really quickly. His mother was a dominating head of the household, actually, which means that she was abusive towards him and his father. Because of this, he started to develop feelings towards her that he really shouldn't have felt, and he continued to wet the bed till he was about 13 years old.
That's pretty nasty.
Yeah, it is nasty, but 57% of serial killers also wet their bed until they were young teens.
What kind of abuse could lead to that kind of condition?
His mother did force him into a cold bath and would scrub him when he was naked and stuff like that. So that was one type of abuse he had. And also, she would describe sex stories from her work. And his father would even talk about his coworkers engaging in acts of necrophilia because he worked at a mortuary. So kind of just things like that kind of mess up with the child's mind.
Kind of?
Kind of, really.
Well,
he's on the list for serial killers, so he must have been fucked up somehow.
Prolific, very
prolific.
Very prolific.
There are four major biological and psychological theories that pertain to the Green River Killer. The first is the trait theory. This is a theory that crime is a result of fundamental personality characteristics which are believed to be largely inherited. People who scored high in certain areas are not easily conditioned or socialized and therefore commit more crimes in adulthood. The second is attachment theory. This is a theory that children need a mother in order to be well adjusted. Bowlby concluded the infant and young child should experience a warm, intimate, and continuous relationship with his mother in which both find satisfaction and enjoyment. This is highly applicable due to the poor and abusive relationship that Gary Ridgway had with his mother. The third is frustration-aggression theory. This is the displacement to the type of violence that is vented on something or someone who is not the source of the original frustration, and suggested that satisfying one's urges via observation was a form of catharsis. This is applicable because Gary Ridgway could have been taking out his frustration with wanting to have sex with his mother on the prostitutes he would have sex with and then murder. The last is personality theory, which has to do with antisocial personality disorder, which is a lack of empathy, lack of sympathy, lack of embarrassment, disassociate emotionally from their actions, and lack of empathy or sensitivity towards others, which could be applicable to almost every serial killer.
Now, before we move on to some really sexy stuff, we're going to talk about some mildly sexy stuff. Gary Ridgway graduated high school at the age of 20, which is kind of old. He was married right out of high school, and because he couldn't go to college, he decided to join the Navy. While he was in Vietnam, he would always have sex with prostitutes, and he even contracted gonorrhea multiple times.
What's multiple?
Only 2 times.
Yeah, but is it one enough?
I feel like one's enough, but he's a serial killer, so I don't really think he had a problem with getting gonorrhea. I think he kind of liked it, maybe.
Oh, no.
But his first wife couldn't handle that, so she decided to divorce him. And he eventually got married to another woman named Marcia Winslow, and he even had a son in 1973.
That was the second one, right?
Yeah, his second wife. Throughout their marriage, though, Ridgway always pressured her to have sex in inappropriate places and several times a day, and paid prostitutes to have sex while they were having sex as well.
What's an inappropriate place?
He would bring them to the woods where he would kill some of his victims. Yeah, he was also really religious, which is kind of weird. You wouldn't expect a man to be like this. But he was so religious that this wife also decided to divorce him because with the mix of having sex all the time and being religious, she was just weirded out, plus his crazy mother. So he decided to get married for a whopping 3rd time. And that wife actually liked him, and that's weird because, he's crazy.
Did she like his mother?
Yeah, she actually really did like his mother. His mother like would always buy clothes and like food and do the finances and stuff for him. But usually like you would think that's weird because he's an adult now, but this wife was just like, oh, like that's okay, I'll start taking on the roles that his mother previously held, and she wasn't fazed by it at all. But the other wives just couldn't handle it, so that's the reasons they left, but she stuck with him. In his adulthood, Gary actually had 2 careers. One, he was a successful truck painter for 15 years. 2, he was a serial killer. Let's just continue. So I guess you all know that his victims were prostitutes usually.
Or he thought they were prostitutes.
Yeah.
Or he thought they were
I
prostitutes.
don't know how you deem someone to be a prostitute. It's like, oh.
Well, if you're standing in a street
It's a
corner,
pretty short skirt you got there.
That you're a prostitute
Come
if you're
into my
wearing a
truck
short
real
skirt.
quick.
Gary Ridgway would usually pick up his victims at night when no one would see his face. He would take them somewhere secluded and show them pictures of his son, which would make them feel safe because he had a child. He would then have sex with them, strangle them from behind, and dump the bodies by the Green River in Seattle. He would return to the bodies to watch them decompose and change color. He also returned to the dump sites to have sex with the bodies of his victims over and over until maggots invaded the body. Because Gary Ridgway was so organized, the police had trouble figuring out what type of person the Green River Killer was, so they consulted Ted Bundy, another known serial killer, to help them figure this out. Although they had new information from Ted Bundy, it did nothing to help them find the killer. It took them 20 years to be able to find the Green River Killer.
His first month killing, he killed 10 women in 1 month. Just because he didn't, like, he just went buck wild with it.
Right.
He just didn't
Which is,
care.
like, insane because a lot of serial killers maybe kill that much over their whole career. And he just did it in the first month. It was just that insignificant to him.
He would like keep like clothes and jewelry that belonged to them.
Like
So
trophies.
like yeah, like trophies. Like a lot of serial killers have like trophies.
It's like walking
something.
around with all this shit on himself. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I wonder
One
like
thing
what
was
types of
bling,
things.
just fucking
Like
silver.
someone
Right.
had like a lot of like bling stuff from like the prostitutes. Like,
Imagine.
he would give them to his wife and
This
women
guy
he
is just a
worked with.
prolific killer at the end
Did
of
you
the
know
day,
that though?
right?
He like would give the jewelry to his wife and women he worked with, so that this way like he would like enjoy seeing them on other people.
He had sex with these dead bodies like multiple times per body. So just imagine if he confirmed 49 of them.
I guess you could say he has a
You'd
high
say-
body count.
Yeah. Oh my god. Alright.
That was
I mean, that's right.
That was
That's
great.
right.